It took us months to get through the novel Anna Karenina. It was used to help my friend with depression, starting first thing in the morning and finishing as we went to sleep at night. I read the whole novel, tapping each letter through the wall that divided our cells as we served life sentences in solitary confinement.
And Victor are still game in half an hour here on BBC One. But first, some strong language with this week's headlines.
Good evening, welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Joe Brand. In the news this week, at the European Parliament, as Theresa May explains the British government's position on trade tariffs and post-Brexit import restrictions, security struggles to cope. In London, one disgruntled commuter decides to put his dispute with the rail company behind him and move on. And following viewers' complaints that EastEnders is too bleak, scriptwriters come up with a new hobby for Phil Mitchell. On Ian's team tonight is the leader of the Liberal Democrat Party, who is appearing on the show just 2 weeks after Nick Clegg, which means the Lib Dems have had almost as many seats in this studio as they have in Please welcome Tim Farron. And with Paul tonight is a presenter and football pundit who's famous for not knowing what's going on the pitch, which makes him favourite to be the next England manager. Please welcome Chris Kamara.
Are you likely to be the next England manager?
No, I'm not likely to be the next England manager.
OK, I'm just checking.
I've got too many skeletons in my closet.
How about President of the United States of America?
Well, that's a possibility. I cannot believe for 1 minute that they'd want to replace a black president with an orange one.
And we start with the biggest stories of the week. Ian and Tim, take a look at this.
Prime Minister, do you know what's going on? No.
The slippery animal there.
With the fish?
Yeah. That's Davis and Fox.
Like the pound. Oh, the Chancellor takes on all comers.
Yeah, fox hunting, maybe.
This is Brexit, isn't it? And there's civil war breaking out in the Tory party. It's going to be messy.
It is.
I mean, it's going to be a party that it falls apart, riven by factions. It's just... How can anyone do that?
We have none of that. It's marvellous.
Well, there's only 11 of you.
Yeah, well... It's not quite that yet.
Is it not?
Obviously, after Whitney, we'll have gained 3 MPs, probably.
In one seat?
I think so.
God, you're good.
Yeah, we're really good.
Well, this is indeed the news that Brexit still means Brexit, and we have to keep talking about it forever.
Pretty much forever, yeah.
What secret document from Boris's past was revealed this week?
He has a column in the Telegraph, and he couldn't make his mind up, so he wrote 2. One saying we definitely should leave, and the other saying we definitely should remain. And people have suggested this is, you know, indication that he's a bit two-faced. Wasn't sure which way to jump, or is a bit of a hypocrite, or an opportunist, or, you know. People are very, very rude about Boris. I think, you know, he's just on the make, really.
Have you had a chance to reconsider your public call for him to be arrested?
No. I stick by every word of it, except I've got another column where I said I thought he should be let off.
Let's have a look at what his secret one actually said.
Secret one.
This is a market on our doorstep ready for further exploitation by British firms. The membership fee seems rather small for all that access. Why are we so determined to turn our back on it? Also, he gave warnings about the downsides of Brexit, arguing that it could lead to economic shock, Russian aggression and a new Scottish referendum. In fact, the only thing he didn't see coming was Will Young dropping out of Strictly. What did Elmar Brok, chairman of EU's Foreign Affairs Committee, have to say about our Brexit ministers? Do you know?
He said that one of them was extremely good looking. This is a very thin disguise. What's Boris up to? What's he up to? It's one of those glasses, nose, moustache comes off in one go, isn't it?
He did say they have no idea of their plan and do not know certain conditions which you have to know in order to make a realistic plan. Oh dear. What does Jacob Rees-Mogg think of Mr. Brok?
I wake up every morning wondering what Jacob Rees-Mogg is going to say next. I have a special tea towel embroidered. What would Jacob do? Let's hear about the wonderful Jacob Rees-Mogg who looks like he's propagated in a greenhouse. What has he got to say to himself?
Jacob who?
Jacob Rees-Mogg. The finest half-back line West Ham ever had. Bobby Rees, Mickey Mogg. He was the Paul winner.
I remember him well.
Mickey Mogg.
If you don't know who he is, you'll have quite an experience. There we go.
Elmar Brok is clueless. He's a know-nothing blowhard.
Meanwhile, the first of around 300 migrant children with family already living here have been arriving from the Calais jungle. Why has this been controversial?
Some of them, according to some observers, don't look as young as they wanted them to look. Tories are concerned that some of the refugees we're letting in might not be quite desperate enough.
Well, David Davis tweeted a picture of some of the children saying, "These don't look like children to me. I hope British hospitality is not being abused."
There are 14 of them. There are hardly any of them.
Yeah.
But people don't like the idea that there's lots and lots of young men, because they're the people who come. Because it's young men who get shipped this way. The families say, oh, we'll give you the money, you go there first. They're going to be young men. That's what they look like.
Yeah.
The Daily Mail are keen, would you believe, on checking the ages of these people. They've aged this man using a computer programme as aged 38. According to Microsoft, the app the Mail used is a fun app that guesses how old you are using machine learning. So we've done it to you, Ian and Paul. Ian, 26.
Yeah.
What? And Paul, 28. Don't get too pleased with yourselves. This is what happened with Norman Tebbit. 23. So Theresa's in Brussels now as we record the programme. It's exciting, isn't it? Hoping for a smooth Brexit.
Yes, we mustn't say hard or soft anymore.
Smooth.
It's like boiled eggs.
I think
it's got to be smooth.
And I had a smooth Brexit for breakfast this morning, which I made of my NutriBullet, and it was probably... So, what is she not allowed to talk about over
And
dinner?
I can vouch for that. I was sat in the next
Now,
room to you.
You as well? I was told to hide in the airing cupboard.
She gets to tell the other leaders what her plans are, but they won't respond, as Donald Tusk has said there will be no pre-negotiations until Article 50 is triggered. You go way back, you and Theresa,
We
don't
do,
you?
yeah. Once upon a time, we both had Rick Astley's haircut, and we stood for North West Durham in a very safe Labour seat.
Well, let's
in
just
1992.
have a little look at you in happier times. Here you are in a synth pop duo in the 80s.
Yeah, see? Am I right or am I right?
Actually, Tim, you were in a band, weren't you?
Yes.
Tell us what's going on here.
So, that is Robert on the right and David on the left, and we were utterly, utterly dreadful.
Was that the name of the band?
No, yeah. Should have been. Anyway, we were terrible, but we had a great time. There you go, which sort of sums up my life, really.
Everything.
Tim, you've been fighting hard to put the Lib Dems back on the map. Let's have a look at some footage from the Lib Dem party conference a few weeks back, just to see how well it's going.
Went very well.
Do you know which political party's having a conference here this week?
I don't know.
Have you any idea? Really?
I didn't realise there was one. Is there? The TUC were here. I didn't hear.
Do you know which political party's got its conference going on here at the moment?
Yeah, that one there.
What do you think of them?
What do I think of them? Who are they?
It's going well. It's going well.
Aww. Who's been using the referendum result to further her own aims this week? Go up the country to the top bit.
Queen.
No.
Nicholas Sturgeon.
Nicola Sturgeon, that's right. What's she threatening?
Another vote on Scottish independence, the second one in a generation.
Well, let's just have a look at how the BBC reported it.
Yeah.
We're going to be joined by Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon. We'll talk to her about plans for a second referendum on independence.
I'm sorry, we've very clearly run the wrong pictures of that particular sequence. My apologies there.
Come on, to be fair, none of us are at our best that early.
He looked all right to me.
This is the bleating of bitter Remoaners who refuse to accept the democratic verdict of the British people. In the post-referendum fallout, the Sunday Times revealed that at one point Boris Johnson wanted to punch Michael Gove. The only reason he didn't is that he hates queuing. Meanwhile, The Independent reported that the first unaccompanied children from the jungle in Calais arrived in Croydon. Well, you can't make the transition from squalor and deprivation too abrupt. Paul and Chris, take a look at this.
Oh, yeah, here we are. Yes, the magnificent idiot Trump. That's Bill with his wandering hands. This is that's probably our emails. That's Julian Assange, who's become a burglar, not very successfully. So Donald Trump, American president, he still keeps going. He's losing lots of votes now as it becomes more and more obvious what he's like. So that's basically it, isn't it?
That's basically it,
yeah.
yes. The US election, as it struggles to an unedifying climax.
Yes.
I've experienced a few of those. The final debate was on Wednesday, and the whole electoral process was summed up by one American commentator.
This is a very sad night for the country. You can't polish this turd. This is, I'm sorry. You cannot, technically you cannot polish any turd.
Give it a shine, though.
We've all tried.
How did the debate kick off?
With a right hook.
Well,
No handshake.
no, well...
Well, you don't want him touching you, do you?
That's if you can avoid it.
sort of thing that most women wouldn't volunteer for.
Trump said he's not going to accept the verdict
Yes.
unless he wins.
He said, I would like to promise and pledge to all my voters and supporters and to all of the people in the United States that I will totally accept the results of this great and historic presidential election. If I win. What else has Trump whinged about, according to Hillary?
The Grammys.
Yes.
He lost the Grammys because they're rigged too, apparently.
Yes.
Absolutely. Let's have a little look, shall we?
There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged again.
Should have gotten it.
Who did Trump invite to sit in the front row and make Hillary feel weird?
Was it Putin?
No.
Iraq's half-brother.
Yes, indeed, that's right. He doesn't like his brother, the president. Do you know why?
Sibling rivalry.
Well, I suppose it kind of amounts to that. I mean, Malik Obama told ITV, Barack has this attitude like, ooh, I'm the president.
Brilliant. And says to me, what have you done?
Exactly.
But to be fair, though, he is the president. He is. What rule did Trump try and impose on last night's debate?
No sense. No facts.
He thought Hillary was on some kind of performance-enhancing drug last time.
Drugs test.
So, yes, he tried to insist they both be drug tested. He'd have tested positive for spray mount.
I mean, it is a pity that Hillary is such a terrible candidate. Anybody else would have won by now. And if Michelle Obama was standing, it'd all be over.
All over.
You got the wrong president's wife.
This is the US election and the third presidential debate. One of the latest allegations of Trump's misogyny came from a former Swedish supermodel who said at a White House dinner in 1993, he was so sexist, I had to switch tables. Unfortunately for her, she ended up next to Bill Clinton. It's been revealed that Hillary Clinton's code name used by her Secret Service protection team is Evergreen, whereas if someone attacks Donald Trump, his code name will be Nevermind. Comparing the work of their respective charities, Hillary Clinton declared that the Trump Foundation took money from other people and bought a 6-foot portrait of Donald. Apparently, it's very realistic. The hands seem to follow you around the room. And so, to round two, the one-armed bandit of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the first one.
Now, this is the reconstruction of the Battle of Hastings in 1066. As you can see, the battlefield's changed somewhat over the years. Roughly where the coal effect fire is where Harold fell, and the drinks cabinet represents where William the Conqueror made his victory speech.
Near as damn it.
Is it?
It's the 950-year-old news that there's been a battle in Hastings. If you don't want to know the result, look away now.
Who won?
Who won the Battle of Hastings?
It was a score draw. Yes. Like an away win at one point.
Well, one Battle of Hastings fan built this wonderful castle out of balloons. Oh. And they even did a balloon herald. The Week magazine busted a few myths about the Battle of Hastings. Can anyone guess what they were?
It didn't happen in Hastings.
It wasn't a battle.
Yep.
Within 1066.
No one called Harold involved.
And the words of and the are under suspicion.
But it wasn't actually in Hastings, was it? It was, in fact, in Battle.
Yeah. So they thought that's a good name for a place, because we're having a battle anyway.
Exactly.
Let's go there. The place is called Battle, let's go there.
But then they thought if they called it the Battle of Battle, people would think they were silly.
They had a fight in a North Yorkshire town called Skirmish.
Well, according to the Week, the Normans pretended to run away, and then when all the Anglo-Saxons gave chase, they turned round and killed them all.
It's a very old tactic.
Yeah.
Has that been the Lib Dems' tactics?
Not until now, but it's important to learn. Yeah.
Fingers on buzzers, teams.
A goose has been travelling on the train without a season ticket. It's been travelling from Brighton to Guildford for the last 5 years, and it's not its card, it's using somebody else's.
Well, that's nearly right, but it's a duck on an aeroplane.
Oh, it's a duck on an aeroplane.
This is the news that Duck has been providing comfort to nervous flyers on a flight across America. The duck has an official title. Does anyone know what it is?
Steward Ducky McDuck.
He quacks to soothe his nervous owner and is called an emotional support duck.
This just made this up.
A much bigger source of pride to Mr. and Mrs. Duck than his poor brother Toilet. Does anyone know what an emotional support duck actually wears?
It's not even a real thing. An emotional
What's he
support
wearing?
duck.
According to the Telegraph, Daniel the duck was wearing little red booties.
Brilliant.
Well, if I was having an anxiety attack on a plane, the sight of a duck in little red boots would not calm me at all.
Well, and also, hang on, he had a sign saying, "My first flight."
Oh.
And a Captain America diaper to make sure he didn't go to the toilet on the floor.
Why does Captain America need to wear a diaper?
I don't know, maybe he's got IBS or something. Who knows,
It's
Paul?
not usually considered a superpower, is it?
I don't know, I think...
Stand back, citizen, my bowel is irritable.
How did he pass the time mid-flight, for example?
How did he pass the time?
Given that we'd never heard of it before this.
He looked out the window. Having a gander. Thank you. Daniel also had a snack before boarding. I hesitate to ask you what you think he might have eaten, but go on.
Clackers?
Hey. According to one eyewitness, he had chicken fries from Burger King. I've no idea what chicken fries are, but I'm pretty sure ducks shouldn't be eating them. Finally, what record has a Peterborough hen set this week?
Most eggs.
It laid the biggest ever egg. Here it is.
Whoa! Do we look at a picture of the chicken that laid that egg?
No, it's in intensive care. Time now for the odd one out round. It's just one between you this week. Your four are Liam Fox, Ken Clark, Sam Allardyce, and the ghost in Anthony Dunleavy's trousers.
Is this to do with being caught on film?
It is to do with that.
So Liam Fox was caught calling business people fat and lazy. Ken Clark was caught calling Theresa May that bloody difficult woman. Sam Allardyce was caught all ends up. And the ghost wasn't.
No. You're in the right area, but you just got the question wrong.
Oh.
Is Liam Fox the odd one out?
That is the right answer. Yes. They've all been filmed without their knowledge, apart from Liam Fox, who didn't know his voice was being recorded when he called a British businessman fat and lazy. Now, Anthony Dunleavy claimed to film a ghost moving his trousers. According to the Mirror, Anthony had got home and had taken off his trousers, thrown them over the edge of the sofa, when the trouser leg began to move all of its own accord.
Strictly is one of those shows where it seems to get better and better and better and better.
Is anyone there?
that it?
I am convinced. I wish I hadn't insulted the duck with the red boots so high. That is the worst bit of film we've ever been asked to comment on, ever. Was it a window open or was it a ghost? What's making your washing move in the garden? Is it Oliver Cromwell?
Now, Sam Allardyce lost his job as England manager when he was secretly filmed by undercover reporters pretending to be wealthy businessmen.
He's kind of probably finished in football now, isn't he, as a manager?
No, not at all, no. He'll be back next week.
According to The Sun, one person who's lost a lot of work because of Allardyce's departure is Steve Wallbank, Sam Allardyce's lookalike. Surely anyone can do a Sam Allardyce impression with their hand over their face, Ian.
I don't look like Sam Allardyce.
Well, you might
He
do
looks
with your
like Ed
hand over your
Balls.
face.
You know him, he's a dancer.
Now, Chris, you've been caught unaware on camera a few times, haven't you?
Second half is just about underway. Who started the better, Chris? Well, the second half is just underway down at Upton Park. West Ham 1, Southampton 1. Who started the better, Chris? Second half is well underway at Upton Park now. Southampton back on level terms against West Ham. Who started the better, Chris? He has not got a Scooby-Doo.
That's not fair. I couldn't hear him.
I really should watch Sky.
You should. Only 40 quid a month. We can have the fitters round tomorrow.
Would you actually come round and fix it
I would.
yourself?
Yeah. I'm fitting two tomorrow so I can fit Ian in as well.
They've all been filmed without their knowledge, apart from Liam Fox, who didn't know he was being recorded when he called British businessmen fat and lazy. According to The Mirror, a man has claimed to have footage of a ghost when his trousers started to move of their own accord. When asked if he considered a medium, he replied, "No, I'm definitely an extra large." Ken Clark...
That's why the story was in.
Right, time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Scaff Mag, the scaffolding magazine.
Right.
It's a great magazine. They do set the bar very high. And we start with what could be the future of scaffolding?
Poles.
Using an impact wrench. This article from Scaff Mag details advice from the National Access and Scaffolding Confederation, highlighting a considered list of arguments concerning the use of the more efficient impact wrench. One of the comments below puts the counter-argument. Next, Waitrose what to stop attracting the wrong sort of people?
Giving away free coffee.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Waitrose are stopping giving out free coffee to take away unless shoppers have actually bought something. These items can't be cigarettes, mobile top-ups and scratch cards. Hang on, that's 3 of my 5 a day. Next, 3 pensioners dangling carrots from their Nissan Micra. What?
Accidentally signalled to an enemy U-boat and harbour.
Entire plot of Last of the Summer Wine.
Pose no threat to the scaffolding industry.
3 pensioners dangling carrots from their Nissan Micra spark cow stampede on Minchinhampton Common.
Of course.
And lastly, Forget drugs and money. Now rappers are rapping about what?
The highly creditable Liberal Democrat result in Whitney.
Now rappers are rapping about mustard. Rappers' obsession with mustard centres on the luxury brand Grey Poupon. The first time I heard of Grey Poupon, I assumed it was a niche adult website. Of course, we've mainly brought up rapping just to share this.
You've got to hold and in and do it at the right time. You can be slow or fast, but you must get to the light. Nobody will hit you and hurt you. Defend and attack. There's only one way to freedom. Get round the back.
And that is why we won the referendum.
Ian's doing his Sam Allardyce impression, look.
Sam Allardyce, as a living being.
No, it's a terrible moment for me because I've just changed my opinion about Brexit.
So, the final scores are Ian and Tim have 2, and Paul and Chris have 8. On which note we say thank you to our panellists Ian Hislop and Tim Farron, Paul Merton and Chris Kamara, and I leave you with news that arriving in Brussels for a mini break, one woman gets a nasty surprise as she tries to change her pounds into euros. At London Zoo, after the recent unsuccessful escape attempt by a gorilla, bets are being laid as to who will try next. And as the Foreign Secretary arrives at Buckingham Palace to brief the Queen on international matters, he finds there's strangely no answer, no matter how many times he rings the doorbell. Good night.
Jack and Victor show their